What is health? Well, most people might answer that health is the absence of disease. That's like saying that light is the absence of darkness. A foolish notion. The opposite is the truth, that darkness is the absence of light and disease is the absence of health. Okay. Now, in fact, health is not the absence of anything, but rather it is the presence of something. It is the presence of the ability to regenerate, rejuvenate, and to procreate. That's what health is. So health is the optimal functioning of the organism. Now, why would one say that? Why would that come up? How can that be true? Is that true? Well, let's remember that we are all part of this larger system called nature, and that nature is a perfect system. We know it's perfect because we know that there's no waste. Everything has an absolute function. So when a creature such as a bear has a bowel movement, a moose has a bowel movement, it turns out to be nourishment for other organisms. There is no waste. It's a very perfect system. Okay. In order for this system to be perfect, every one of its constituent parts must function optimally, must function perfectly. Now, what are the parts of nature? Well, nature has 1 billion trillion eyes. It's got the eyes of a chipmunk. It's got the eyes of an eagle. It's got the eyes of a bass. It's got the eyes of a human. And even though we forget, we are part of nature. We're not part of nature. We are an expression of nature. Every aspect of nature that we look at and see it individually is really an expression of nature. And that creature that we are identifying as separate is really part of a system, part of an ecosystem. So you can't really define a bird and a bird's life unless you define worms. Neither can you define a worm and its life unless you define birds. So that each creature exists in its niche. Now, you take a worm out of the earth and stick it in a jar, it will soon die. You take a saltwater bass and you put it in a freshwater lake, major problems. You take an eagle soaring on the cliffs with its incredible wingspans and you put it in a cave with bats, you've got problems. And you take humans and you take them away from the subtropics and you put them anywhere else, you've got problems. Okay. We were designed, our niche is somewhere between the Tropic of Capricorn and the Tropic of Cancer. No wonder that people that live closer to the equator have minimal cancer, and the further you get away from the equator, the higher the incidence of cancer. Same with multiple sclerosis and many other conditions. So that's our niche, and you can't separate us from it, and when you do, you have problems. And therein lies the root of all of our diseases. We have been separated from our niche. We have developed artificial dwellings, artificial lifestyles, and we have, in fact, look at us. We live in boxes, drive around in machines. We don't dare touch the earth with our feet unless under certain circumstances, like going to the beach, otherwise we're wearing shoes. So we are totally cut off from the rest of our environment, our niche. Okay? So, anyway, health requires that we be in our niche, and that we, in our niche, we will be able to obtain all that we need from our environment to achieve optimal functioning. Okay? Now, the optimal functioning of a human being is absolutely unknown. Absolutely unknown. We know what it is for most other creatures on the planet, but we have no idea what optimal functioning for a human is. You know, we know of people 120, 130, 140 years of age living, the Hunzas, Vilcabambam in Ecuador, Machu Picchu. We know that they can father children at the age of 100, 110. So, you know, and over here in America, we've got 30-year-olds asking me for Viagra. I mean, so clearly, we have no idea what optimal functioning is. And it certainly cannot be found and cannot be obtained in the artificial world that we live in.